Hello, this is Brendan Wilmington of the Left Turn Network, and welcome back to the Lumen Stock Car Invitational, Season number 3, Race number 24, and we are in the final road course race of the season here at the Watkins Glen International, all the way up in New York. And the championship battle is definitely heating up as Tim Berry continues to lead the points, but by a slim margin over Kevin DuPont. And both of them are going to be starting up towards the front here today, so it's going to be interesting to see which one of them ends up coming out on top. This track is a very fast-paced road course, 7 corners here. We do not use the boot on this version. Maybe we'll use the boot in a future season, but for now, I'm fine with just using the short shoot version. Anyway, in case you're wondering who my co-commentator is, it's nobody. It's just me today, but that's because this is being recorded way after the race happened, because in the original recording, there was no original recording. I forgot to hit record. I ran the whole race without realizing it, so I have it up in the replay now, so we're just gonna commentate it here. So let's go over your starting lineup for today. On pole is the number 88 of Joe Smith in the Gamebridge Chevrolet. Alongside him is your second place driver in points, Kevin DuPont. Row number 2 is the 92 of Kate Summers alongside the 11 of Tim Berry, who's right behind DuPont. Row number 3, a couple of Hudson Motorsports cars. I believe that's Ryan Silva in the number 19 and the 18 of Zach Dearman. Then it's the 36 of Ashley Blake in row 4 alongside the 58 of Mauricia Vebelst. Jacob Lopez in the number 1 car alongside Karina Willis-Calloway in the 41. That rounds out your top 10. Then it's Laken Herndon in the number 39 and the 7 of Laurie Jackson. Corbin Taps and George Bryan, 2 other cars that are pretty high up in points, but they need to make up a little bit more ground to catch up to DuPont and Berry. Kobe Hollenbeck, road course expertise, right here alongside the 81 of Latanya Gray, who won one of the earlier road course races at Willow Springs. JT Boyd, another driver that's pretty decently high up in points. Alongside him is the 6 of Holly Martin, who is very much not very high up in points. Vinny Scholes in the 62, Michael Harvin in the 55, and then it's the 33 of Cheryl Simmons and the 24 of Cooper Spur, who won at Circuit of the Americas earlier in the year. Then you got the 45 car of Rebecca Raymond and the 85 of Charlie McCarran. Number 52, that's Johnny Everhart making his first ever LSCI start. He tried to make the race at COTA and at Mosport, DNQ'd both times, but he finally managed to make the race. He is a road course ringer from Nottingham in the UK, so I believe this is the first British driver to start a LSCI race. Alongside him is the 8 car of Darren Walker. Then it's the 57 car of Shauna Everett and the 28 of Adrian Wheeler, who won the last road course race at Mosport. Kaleo Connie, another road course expert, and the 66 of Tyler Landry, who has also been pretty strong on the road courses lately. Both of them starting near the back of the pack, though, so they got a lot of ground to make up. Then you got the 3 car of Billy Smith and the 65 of Jack Gino. The 5 car of Takamoto Aya, who ran the Mosport race, made her debut, I believe, in that race, and she came away with the top 3. So we'll see if Aya is able to have another good run here today. That's another road course expert. We have a lot of road course ringers here today. That's very nice to see. And alongside her is the 70 of Andrew Kreider. And rounding out the field is another one of your drivers higher up in points, Akiya Tajima, but he has a lot of work to do if he wants to stay in this championship battle. This race is going to be 32 laps long. It is going to be a 2-stop race, I believe, and there should be a lot of interesting pit strategy here, but honestly, this is the one track where the pit strategy kind of takes a backseat to the racing. This one kind of like Willow Springs, actually. That would be the closest comparison in terms of tracks we have on the schedule. It's not quite Mosport, it's not quite COTA, and it races differently than Willow Springs too, but that's, I guess, its closest comparison on the schedule. So, yeah, this is the 3rd race that we've run here at Watkins Glen. The first winner here was, oh, why can I not remember? Uh, I don't actually remember who won the first race here. I remember they beat Charlie McCarron in a photo finish. It was, I believe it was Zach Dearman who was the first winner here. And then in season 2, it was Tyler Landry leading wire to wire in a very impressive run that he had in that number 66 car. Doesn't look like he's going to lead wire to wire this time. He's starting in the back, but definitely one to watch out for as well. But obviously, the main two drivers we're going to be watching out for are the 98 of Kevin DuPont and the 11 of Tim Berry. And the field will roll off here in the short chute at Watkins Glen. Once again, it will be Joe Smith and Kevin DuPont on the front row. Since I don't have a co-commentator, we're not going to be asking anyone who they think is going to win, but yeah, hopefully we have a good race here at Watkins Glen. It's been so long since the race that I actually don't remember most of the things that happened, so I guess my procrastination finally worked out for once. But pace car is going to pull off. It will be Smith and DuPont leading the field to green with Kate Summers and Tim Berry in row number 2. And then Ryan Silva and Zach Dearman in row number 3. Green flag is out, and we are underway here at the Glen. Going through the carousel here, towards the end of lap number 1, Smith was able to hold on to the lead. Kate Summers was able to charge up to second, making the pass on Kevin DuPont. Ryan Silva up to 4th, now trying to make a move on DuPont for 3rd, but he's not able to get underneath him into turn number 6. This is a trouble spot on the track right here, this final corner. Sometimes you'll see some guys go a little too fast through the corner and hit the wall. But it looks like that did not happen here on the first lap, especially on the older tires. You see that happen quite a bit. So that's a place that we got to watch out for here later in the race. And we're single file throughout the first 7 or so. We have a battle for 8th between Jacob Lopez and Ashley Blake. Lopez is going to get that spot. Corbin Taps, last race's winner at Talladega on a last lap pass. Remember, we've got that streak going with 5 of the last 6 races being decided within the final 2 laps, and I will be impressed if it happens again today, because, you know, it doesn't happen too much on the road courses, albeit we did see it happen at Mosport, and that was the race that kind of kicked off this streak, so, hey, you know what, it's definitely not out of the realm of possibility. Going through the final 2 corners here. About to complete lap number 2. Kate Summers trying to close in on Joe Smith. Smith got a slightly better run out of turn 7, though. DuPont is in 3rd. Berry is in 5th. Still got to keep an eye on these two. Of course, Tim Berry having the engine expire in the middle of the pack at Talladega. And that has been a common trend for his season. Back at Kentucky, he blew a tire from the lead and caused a big crash that took Montana Sherman out for the year. And then he had the tire failure at Phoenix as well. And then an engine explosion at Talladega. It's just been nonstop mechanical failures for that 11 car. He'd have a much bigger lead if that didn't keep happening to him. As for the race lead, you just saw it. Kate Summers is able to take the lead away from Joe Smith. She already has 2 wins on the year, trying to look for number 3 here in the Pacific Racing Toyota. Pacific Racing's already won more races this season than they have in any other season in LSCI. They won 1 race in Season 1, didn't win any in Season 2. And of course, both those wins coming with Kate Summers. Kate would love to add to that total. This Pump It Up machine has been very fast this season. It's been responsible for, I think, all 3 of her poles. So, We know it at least has pretty good raw speed. And now you have the entire top 10 single file. Karina Willis-Callaway is going to move into 11th over Lori Jackson. That doesn't mean we don't have any action going on because, you know, through the S's, you really don't want to be side by side. There's not much room up there. So you got to be careful. There you see JT Boyd ducking out of line back there. And you see a lot of moves happening. Into the bus stop is a pretty common spot, and then into turn number 6 as well. Sometimes you'll get some cars that get really good runs out of the carousel here and are able to keep that draft and that momentum going down into this corner here. Checking up on the back of the field, Tajima has not passed anyone since the start, so that's not a good sign for the 99. But we have not had any incidents yet. And of course, since this is a road course, there will not be any cautions in this race. If there are any accidents, you will see them at the end of the broadcast in the Carnage Cam, just like we did for the other 3 road courses this season. Ryan Silva trying to get by Kevin DuPont. He actually was ahead of DuPont at the line. DuPont, though, will have the preferred lane going through the S's. That should be enough to get DuPont the spot, but Silva's actually fighting back. And this is bringing Tim Berry and Zach Dearman and Mauricia Vebelst into it. Good run for Vebelst. She has shown some pace in a couple of her races, but hasn't quite gotten the results that she's wanted. Oh, still side by side through the bus stop. This is a dangerous situation. Looks like DuPont's going to have to back off. Vebelst now trying to go around the outside of Dearman for 6th. Silva's going to be able to clear DuPont, and now DuPont and Berry are lined up nose to tail. And you know that 11 is going to want to be passing DuPont, and he is wasting no time trying to get by the 98. Will he have momentum on the outside here in turn 7? No, he had to check up on the exit of the corner. That should give DuPont the opportunity to slot in, and he will. Meanwhile, up front, Joe Smith trying to close in on Kate Summers. He's broken away from the cars behind him, and he's been able to catch Kate a little bit these last few laps. So we'll see if that 88 is fast enough to catch up. Battling further in the back, Landry has also not made up that many positions. He's currently running in the 27th spot, right on the back of Johnny Everhart. It looks like he's going to try and pass Everhart going into the bus stop. So not a great run for Landry right now. JT Boyd currently running in the 13th position. George Bryan has dropped back to 17th. So those are a few more of the cars that are running up towards the front of the points that we're just kind of keying into right now. Corbin Tapp's in 9th, so all of them at least running up in the top half, which is interesting. They definitely brought their A game here in terms of those top 5 drivers and points. And that could be a big deal. Even though JT Boyd and George Bryan are currently a ways back at the 98 and the 11, they could get good enough finishes that keep them within striking distance when we get into the last 4 races of the season. Summers now pulling ahead of Joe Smith by a couple of tenths that last lap. 92 is looking quick here early in the going. Looking further back, the 36 of Ashley Blake tried to make a move on Taps, did not have the momentum. That was for the 9th position. And Cheryl Simmons in the zombie dodge, number 33, running right behind the 77 of JT Boyd. Looks like she just got by LaTanya Gray, so she's in 14th right now. And we saw this car finish in 3rd at the Willow Springs race. So we know that Cheryl Simmons can get it done on these road courses. That could be another car to watch as we get later into this race, as she has been gaining spots. Summers is now over a second on Joe Smith. Not much change up at the front. Simmons now trying to get past. Boy, this 33 is looking pretty strong. Oh boy. 62 got loose off the corner. Benny Scholes, but she's able to save it. And the 33 of Simmons will now move up into 13th. But again, like I just said, not much change up here at the front. I think we're going to start seeing our first pit stops around lap 14 or so. So that's something to keep an eye on. And then you'll probably have your second cycle happening around lap 24, 25 or so, somewhere in that ballpark. So still a ways until we get to pit stops as we approach the 25% mark, but definitely as the action starts to slow down. Oh, Kate Summers into the wall. That's not going to help out. Here comes Joe Smith. Big opportunity for him. I think a couple other cars might have gotten the wall back there. There was a lot of loose cars off that corner. The 41 might have gotten close, but I don't see damage, so she might be fine. But the thing about slapping the wall like that is not only is the 88 closed in on her, I was just mentioning the pit stops, you have to think about them. That is going to cost them time in the pit lane trying to repair that, so that is not what you want to be doing off of turn number 7. And Joe Smith is right on her back bumper. Well, not quite right on her back bumper, but pretty close to her now. Summers was ahead by a second earlier. He cut the lead in half by the time they got to the start-finish line, and he's probably much closer now than he was then. Tim Berry just kind of riding behind Kevin DuPont right now, not trying to make a move on him. You don't have to make a move on him right now. You could try and beat him off the pit lane. It is a very long race still. This race extended by 6 laps from its previous 2 events. Those previous events were one-stop races, so this one now a 2-stopper, so this is the longest road course race that we have in terms of distance. Pit strategy, very important here. I mentioned that it wasn't as important as other races, but also it still is very important. It is a road course, so it's always going to be a key factor in terms of winning the race. Getting on and off of pit lane, especially with no yellows. You have to make sure you nail those pit stops, and the 7 of Lori Jackson has crashed, and that is bad news for her. That's a tough break. Looks like she's going to finish last today. And we will see what happened to her at the end of the race. I'll just have to make a note to go back to that accident and show the replay. But Kate Summers still holding off Joe Smith despite the damage. So she's doing a good job of keeping her car clean so far. I see skid marks on the front stretch, so that must be what happened to Lori Jackson. And Jackson is out of the race now, I believe, as she is no longer in the pit lane. There's some action going on in the middle of the pack. Darren Walker, Vinny Scholes. Oh, Scholes is getting sideways. She's into the wall hard. And that's a tough break there for Vinny Scholes and Rebecca Raymond. Scholes definitely got the worst of that. That's pretty funny. I completely forgot that wreck happened. I just happened to find it. Again, I'm recording this race well after the race actually ran. The race, I think, ran in October, and I'm recording it in February, so I forgot basically most of what happened in this race. That's kind of crazy that I managed to catch it there, but whoa, Joe Smith gets loose off of turn number 7. That could give Ryan Silva, who's been slowly catching these two, an opportunity, but he didn't get quite enough momentum to be able to do anything. Joe Smith took a lower line there as if he was going to try and make a move on Summers, but he wasn't really close to it. Tim Berry tried the same thing. Berry did gain quite a bit of ground, though, and he's been glued to the back of that 98 for several laps now. You got to think that he's going to try and find a way around him. And Scholes is coming into the pits as well as Rebecca Raymond. Raymond's got some significant rear-end damage. They should be able to fix that. However, Vinny Scholes took a pretty hard hit into the guardrail, and she might be out of the race. It looks like they're going to try and get her back onto the racetrack. So both of the Pacific Racing cars in this race have sustained damage, but one of them is still leading. We have yet to see the effect of that damage on the pit stop. Lap 12. This might be the first lap where we start to see some cars pit. Oh, never mind. They're all coming in now. I misjudged the pit window. Except for the 33 of Cheryl Simmons, who's going to try and overcut. But all the leaders coming in now on lap number 12. And so if they keep this trend going, they should be coming in again around lap 24. There you see the 62 leaving the pits. Now she's going to stay in the race for the time being. And we will see how these leaders come in and out of the pits, see if the damage ends up taking up a lot of time for the 92. Pretty fast on the tire change. They're all going to change 4 tires. Tim Berry with the jack dropped, and he is going to go out into the lead. Summers is having an extended stay in the pits, as I suspected she might, due to that left side damage. Looks like they've got that fixed up. They're 3 wide coming out of the pits, though. Oh, be careful. You don't want to crash. We saw this at Mosport. Oh, into the wall a little bit goes Takamoto Aya, but they got that figured out a lot better than they did at Mosport. And Kate Summers is now well back in the field and probably out of contention for this win. So that was a rough couple of laps there for Pacific Racing. Cheryl Simmons will lead the last remaining cars into the pits. 62 just came down, so this should be everybody else coming in this lap. And we'll see if this overcut will work for the 33. I believe JT Boyd was the second car. Yeah, JT Boyd, LaTanya Gray, Kobe Hollenbeck, you see up there in the ticker. Those 6 cars right there, the top 6, all waited until lap 13 to come in and pit. Summers already out of the pit lane. Hollenbeck had a pretty fast lap. There's Tim Berry, who had an excellent pit stop. But it looks like Simmons is going to get out in front of him. Hollenbeck's going to gain some spots. They're going to gain some spots from that. So, interesting. I'm wondering if the lack of other cars coming into the pits is what helped them gain some time on the 11. So now, Cheryl Simmons is not only in front, but she has 1 lap fresher tires than Tim Berry. She's still kind of warming up those tires, though, so Berry will probably catch her at the end of this lap, but then we'll have to see if Simmons is able to hold off Tim Berry here. Joe Smith, who led the first couple of laps and has been top 2 for most of the race, is in 3rd now. Ryan Silva now 4th. Kevin DuPont still sitting in the top 5, so still within striking distance, even if he does not end up passing up Tim Berry. That's good news for him. Kobe Hollenbeck, the 18 of Zach Dearman. There's Vebelst and Boyd battling side by side for position. And it looks like Vebelst is going to get the drive off the corner and is going to take that spot away from GT Boyd. So now Cheryl Simmons is the leader. Berry has caught up to the back of her, though. She didn't break into those new tires on that first lap, so that's pretty typical. We'll see if Berry will be able to pass her. If he can get around her and lead a lap, that'll be an extra bonus point towards the championship for him, and that is something that he's going to want. Especially with DuPont still in the top 5. Good run off the exit of the bus stop. Joe Smith is also getting involved in this battle. Smith looked like he wanted to make a move there, but did not do it. 3 cars now under a blanket for the lead here at Watkins Glen. Oh boy, looks like Joe Smith might have moved him. Might have moved Tim Berry there. Is Smith going to move to 2nd? Berry will have the preferred line in turn 7. But they're still side by side. Tim Berry went wide in turn number 6. He might have gotten a tap from the 88s. And now they're side by side for 2nd. Cheryl Simmons could use this to her advantage to pull away, but she's not really pulling away. They're still all over her while they're battling for 2nd through the S's. Ryan Silva's now getting brought into this. Kevin DuPont's getting brought into this. So this is going to turn into a 5-car battle here real quick. Simmons finally starting to pull away from those two as they continue to battle side by side. They've been side by side for a whole lap now. And it looks like Smith's going to get the spot. Berry might lose another spot to Ryan Silva. He's going to drop straight back to 4th. And that is not what he wants, because now Kevin Dupont is right behind him. Dupont might try and make a move on him into turn 6. He has a lot of momentum. Here he comes down to the inside. Dupont and Berry now side by side through the final 2 corners to complete the first half of the race. And Dupont will also pass Tim Berry. That was a disastrous lap there for Berry. He lost 3 spots. And now he has to try and find a way to get back up to the 33 car. Silva with a late break there. He's going to get right to the back bumper of the 88 of Joe Smith, who's right on the back bumper of Cheryl Simmons, but has not found a way around her. Simmons doing an excellent job defensive driving right now, as the front 3 continue to be right on top of each other. You gotta wonder how long she's gonna be able to hold off these cars for, because it's pretty clear to me that these cars behind her are faster than her. Almost contact there between the 19 and the 88. The 88's able to stay low and hold on to the position for now, and no changes in position will result from that, but it's pretty clear to me that the 88, the 19, the 98, they're all faster than Cheryl Simmons is. But Simmons, with those fresher tires, is able to utilize them and stay ahead for now. Smith trying to get a run off of turn number 7. He's poking his nose to the inside. DuPont's looking underneath Silva for 3rd. And he might try and dive it under Smith for 2nd. He's not going to get that greedy, though. But it looks like he's going to take away 3rd from Silva. Not too far behind them is Silva's teammate, Zach Dearman, lurking in 6th. He's kind of in no man's land right now. No cars around him, but you know what? That just makes him all the more easy on him. Kind of just conserve his tires here for the end. Kevin Dupont, I tell you what, he's making moves. Now he's going to the inside of Joe Smith into the bus stop. Not able to get alongside him, though. Silva went a little bit wide there. He's going to lose a little bit of time. They're still right on top of the 33 of Cheryl Simmons. Nobody's been able to pass her, though. Dupont might be looking underneath Joe Smith for 2nd now. And it looks like he will be side by side in turn number 6. This is how he got by Tim Berry. We'll see if he can manage to do it with Smith as well. Be careful not to slide up too much. Looks like he checked up when he got onto the rumble strip. And now Smith has the edge going into turn number 1 as we cross the line. What a battle up here in the first few positions. Smith will hold on to the spot. It's getting increasingly more difficult for Smith to make a move on the 33. Oh, never mind. Here he comes. Is Dupont going to try and make it 3? He thought about it, but he thought better of it. And now they're side by side, and Smith looks like might finally... Yeah, the 33 with a very slow bus stop. Oh, Dupont slid off the corner. Almost got into it with the 19, but Joe Smith finally gets by the 33. And Joe Smith has retaken the lead here at Watkins Glen. Dupont now going to try and get by Simmons after that big slide out of the bus stop. That could have been disaster. The 19 was on his quarter panel. The 98 could have ended up turning around in the carousel. But Dupont now going to move up to 2nd, and your front row is back to being 1st and 2nd. Simmons still in 3rd. So that strategy, she was back just outside the top 10, around 13th, 14th, when that pit sequence happened. So she's definitely benefited from that. We're at lap number 20. So we still got a few more laps before they make their 2nd stops. Looking in the back, Vinny Schulz is still out there. Rebecca Raymond is also still out there. Is anyone else out of the race? Michael Harbin looks like he's out of the race, so he might have gotten involved in an accident. And again, we'll go and check on what happened to him. The 45's now pitting. And of course, she is off sequence due to the damage. Dupont is digging. He is now closing in on Joe Smith. He wants to take the lead. He wants to get an extra lap led for himself as well. and have a shot of winning this race. Zach Dearman trying to make a move on Tim Berry now. His teammate tried to do the same on Simmons. Nothing happened there. Simmons now pitting here. So she is going to have to... Oh, she got into it with the 19. And she got into the barrels. Cheryl Simmons with a disastrous pit entry, and that's going to slow up the 11. Berry's getting held up. And there's nothing Berry can do. She's blocking the pit lane. She finally gets teleported back, Cheryl Simmons. But Tim Berry is going to lose a ton of time and positions because of that. Kobe Hollenbeck also going to get held up. Cheryl Simmons with an absolute disaster class of a pit lane entry. First, she overshot her marks to try and get in, got into the 19 of Silva, and then when she was trying to get into the pit lane, she brushed the end of the pit wall, and it ended up severely damaging her car. There you see her teleporting off. She's out of the race now. And Tim Berry is going to get incredibly held up from that. What a huge break for Kevin DuPont, as well as everyone else chasing Tim Berry in the standings. We'll have to see where he ends up cycling out. He's even coming out behind the 79 car. So not a good pit stop for the 11 on top of that. Oh my goodness, what drama here at Watkins Glen. So Simmons is now going to join Michael Harbin and Lori Jackson in the garage after having such a great run. But she really messed up that pit entry, and oh boy. For the 11 and the 79 pitting that early and getting held up, that is going to be very bad for them because they're going to end up being on the oldest tires. On the end of this run, they're going to have to make it 12 laps on that tires, which is the same stint as the opening run. They only ran 8 laps on those tires. So we'll see how that turns out. DuPont sees an opportunity. He is all over the back bumper of Joe Smith. Silva's now in 3rd. Dearman is now 4th. JT Boyd has now appeared in the top 5. No one going to come into the pits this time, at least from the top few. The 45 is not on the lead lap. Cooper Spur, the Circuit of the Americas winner, has showed up into the top 10. A little further back, you've got Corbin Taps in 11th. Tyler Landry has made his way up to 12th, so he's done a great job of rallying from that dismal starting spot. Same with Takamoto Aya, who's now up to 13th. I tell you what, she's passed a lot of cars. I think she was started all the way back in 34th. And she's made her way all the way up to 13th. That is not an easy thing to do on a road course. You know, Aya was really fast at Motorsport. She's been very impressive in her starts so far. Oh, we missed a pass for the lead. Kevin DuPont is now by the 88 of Joe Smith. And if he can lead this lap, that'll be an extra bonus point towards the championship on top of whatever he's going to gain from Tim Berry's miscues. Because Berry is almost certainly going to lose a ton of positions after what happened. It's just a matter of how many. And DuPont will get his lap led right here. So it looked like for a moment, when Tim Berry was held up behind Cheryl Simmons, that he was going to make the pass and get the lap lead bonus, but instead it's DuPont who gets it. Risha Vebelst, currently in 6th. She's just been having a solid top 10 run. She was fast at Denver, and then a bad pit stop took her out of contention. So she's hoping the same thing doesn't happen here, and trying to get Diamond Motorsports a good run. Joe Smith's not done with DuPont, though. He got a really good run through the S's. We might not be finished with this battle yet, as the 88 has caught right back up to DuPont and might be able to make a move here before this second pit cycle. Actually, it is lap 24. So these guys, we should be seeing a few cars coming into the pits this time by. Obviously, Smith would like to get by DuPont before that, but I don't think he's got enough time to if they pit here, and they will. DuPont, Smith, most of the leaders. Boyd, who overcut last time. Ooh, be careful. will also overcut this time, so we'll see if that strategy works out for JT Boyd. Few other cars are going to overcut as well, and there will be more variance on when these guys come in and pit in the second cycle. There's the 79 and the 11. The 92 looks like she came in early as well. I think she came in the previous lap, so... Kate Summers also trying an undercut, and I guess you might as well if you lost so much time from damage repair. The 98 of Kevin Dupont absolutely nailed his pit stop, though. He is way out in front of the 88 and the 19. Silva's actually going to pass Joe Smith on pit exit. Cooper Spur's going to do the same thing to Mauricia Vebolst. And now Kevin Dupont is in prime position to win this race. And this would be a very clutch win for Kevin Dupont. And looking for the 11 of Tim Berry. Oh, the 79 and 99 both have damage on the right side. I think the 99 was just leaving the pit, so I think we had an incident between these two. The 11 of Berry will pass them both. There you see him. Behind the 36 of Ashley Blake and the 39 of Laken Herndon. Two cars that we haven't really seen that much all race. Blake was in the top 10 earlier. And the 01 of George Bryan has also lost a lot of positions. Actually, he's the leader right now. Or at least last time by, he was scored as the leader. Yeah, actually, he is the leader. So Bryan hasn't pitted yet. He is trying an extreme overcut. And we saw this work with Cheryl Simmons in that first cycle of pit stops. And Bryan also won his first race at Mosport by doing a one-stopper when everyone else tried a two-stopper in that race. So Bryan trying to roll the dice here, try and get his third win of the year. And he's another driver. He sees that opportunity from Tim Berry's miscues. Here he comes. He's going to come into the pits. He saw that opportunity from Berry having issues. Berry is currently running in 20th, just past Blake for 19th, so obviously lost a lot of positions there. He dropped halfway through the field because of that. JT Boyd got out ahead of Ryan Silva, but not out ahead of Kevin Dupont. And that is going to be crucial for Dupont. Boyd is also stunting Silva and Smith's opportunity to try and pass the 98. There you see Bryan in the pits. He's not going to get out with the lead. He has not been running that great today, but he could salvage something if he can get up maybe into the teens from that. And it looks like he might be just outside the top 10 if he doesn't come out and get in the way of these guys. So for now, that's going to be pretty good for George Bryan. I think he's going to get out. He got out ahead of Cooper Spurs, so he's going to come out in 8th position. So that's good for him. Oh boy, Ryan Silva all over the curbs there on the exit of the bus stop. Joe Smith trying to go around the outside of him. Not a great exit for him, as they're trying to get by the 77 of Boyd. This is the same thing we saw with Simmons. This is kind of like reverse of what you expect, because most of the time when somebody tries to undercut, and then they've got the older tires, they're the ones that are kind of like fighting for their lives out there. But could be just that these tires take so long to get warmed up on the track that drivers like Boyd, and then you saw with Simmons in the previous stint, kind of struggling to keep pace on the first couple of laps on the tires. Either way, this is a great move by Boyd here if he can hold on to it. There's only 5 laps to go. So if he can hold on to a top 5 here, that would be a great points day for him, despite DuPont being 3.7 seconds clear of him in the lead. Joe Smith running in 3rd. He's had a great run all day in what could be his final road course race. A couple of Hudson Motorsports teammates behind him, Silva Dearman, both have been in the top 6 the entire race. Mauricia Vebolst looking at a top 10 if she can hold on to it. And where did the 01 go? George Bryan lost a ton of spots, and I don't know why. He's back in 23rd now. We'll check the replay to see if anything happened to him. But he's now behind Kate Summers, who obviously had that extended stay for damage. Here's Johnny Everhart. Running in 27th, has not been much of a factor this race, so... It's his first start, though, so... The 8 has right side damage now, so... I think we have missed a couple of incidents. I don't see anyone else in the garage, though, so... Looks like they were all relatively minor in comparison to a couple of the other ones we saw. It'll be 3 laps to go next time by. Zach Dearman trying to get by his teammate, Ryan Silva, and he will. Cuts through the grass on the exit of the bus stop. That will be enough for him to get 4th. Boyd matched the speed of DuPont last lap. Only a couple hundredths off. We'll see what happens this time by. But I don't think they're going to have enough time to catch up to DuPont unless something happens to the 98 car. It was 3.89 last time by. Now the 88's trying to pass the 77. They did gain on DuPont, but not nearly enough. And again, I think it's going to take something happening to the 98 in order for any of these guys to have a shot. Still a great run for all of them, of course. Jacob Lopez. Haven't mentioned him that much all day. He is going to get underneath Cooper Spur. He's going to get into 7th. Tyler Landry and Takamoto Aya, who both started all the way out in the back, are both now in the top 10. Adrian Wheeler, who is also proving to be quite the road course ringer, is up to 11th. And he could have a shot at the top 10 as well. So, great run for him. Great run for Aya, trying to get 2 top 10s in her first 2 starts. That'd be incredible for her. Landry, you know, he's just been... If he had started up higher, he might have been a threat for the win, but... You know, just a bad qualifying run. Kind of put him back. Looks like the 88 and 77 are a lot closer to DuPont now, but I still don't think they're going to have enough time to catch him. 2 laps to go. They closed in a little bit, but not too much. 3.5 seconds. So they're faster. But it's just the distance. They can't make up that distance by only gaining a couple hundredths. Or a couple tenths. Kevin DuPont. Tim Berry right now running in 17th. This could be enough for DuPont to take the points lead. If he can come across the line first here today, which it's looking like he very well could. Just an outstanding run by DuPont, just taking advantage of Tim Berry's misfortune. Shauna Everett might have gotten into something as well. Again, we'll have to check the replay for all the incidents here at the end. But it's the white flag. 1 lap to go here for Tim Berry as he rounds out a turn number 7. Or, not Tim Berry, Kevin DuPont. Trying to get his 2nd career win. And boy, has he been good here in this second half of the season ever since he got that win at Pocono. He was kind of the 3rd wheel at Walker Brothers Racing. Of course, Walker Brothers Racing was excellent at the start of the year, but he was kind of the least talked about. But his teammates have actually been struggling the last few weeks, but he has not. He's only gotten better. So he's kind of flipped the script here in terms of this team. Going through the bus stop one more time. Joe Smith got by JT Boyd at some point. So it's looking like it'll be a 2nd place there for Joe Smith unless Boyd can get back by him in the last couple corners. But coming through the final 2 corners. Kevin DuPont in the 98. Ran a flawless race today. Might not have been the fastest car, but he got it done on pit road when he needed to. Coming off the final corner, Kevin DuPont is going to get a clutch win here at Watkins Glen, and he is going to put a stamp on the points lead. Joe Smith, JT Boyd, Zach Dearman, and Ryan Silva will round out the top 5. Great run for Silva, who's been struggling this season. I believe that's his first top 5 on the year. Mauricia Vebels gets her first career top 10. Takamoto Aya is going to get a top 10. Cooper Spur gets a top 10. Just this whole group of cars right here, these 4 have been excellent on the road courses this year. And you see them all finishing 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th. Even though most of them started out back, they still managed to get up there towards the front. And that's just that's a testament to how good these drivers are on the road courses. Tim Berry finishes 17th. He didn't gain any spots from the last time we saw him. George Bryan ends up finishing in 27th. But none of these guys are going to gain on Kevin DuPont. You get a few of them to gain on Berry, but I don't think Berry is the championship leader anymore. You know, we saw at the end of last season just so many big twists and turns for the championship. There was a point where Landry had a 39-point lead, and then going into Indy, he crashed out of the race, and then his championship rival Kobe Hollenbeck won it. And then all of a sudden, Hollenbeck was the championship leader. And then you saw a similar swing at Watkins Glen where the same thing happened. I don't remember if that was before or after. I think that was before the Indy race, but either way, we've seen big championship swings. This one's not quite as big as those, but it's quite the swing indeed. We'll quickly show you your finishing order there on the side, because since this is a replay, we can't actually show the full standings. So we'll just scroll through them here on the top right. But yeah, Kevin DuPont with quite a win here at Watkins Glen. This was a very timely win for him, especially with Tim Berry's issues on his second pit sequence. He was able to take advantage of that and gain quite a few points on the 11 of Tim Berry, probably enough to get the points lead. 32 cars on the lead lap. All of those cars finished the race. There were no lap down cars that finished. Only 3 cars failed to finish the race. Cheryl Simmons, Michael Harvin, and Laurie Jackson. We saw what happened to Simmons. We saw the aftermath of what happened to Jackson. Not sure what happened to Harvin. We'll have to check it out in the replays. And speaking of the replays, we're going to get right into the replays here. And yeah, just show you what happened in all the incidents here at Watkins Glen International. Laurie Jackson goes into turn number 7 a little hot, gets into the side of JT Boyd. They make contact, and Jackson hard into the inside wall. Might have clipped the barrels a little bit there, which makes her the second driver, or I guess the first driver, because this happened before Cheryl Simmons' incident. Second one to get very close to hitting the butt end of the pit wall there. Thankfully, everyone was able to stay out of it pretty much. But unfortunately, that's going to end Laurie Jackson's day there. Just got a little bit too aggressive in the final corner there. Got into the side of Boyd, and just unfortunate. We already saw what happened to Vinnie Scholes there. Rebecca Raymond just drives it too hard into the corner. Hard lick for Vinnie Scholes on the passenger side. Got up off the ground a little bit. I'm surprised Raymond did not get as much damage as she could have. She's able to drive away from the accident, no problem. Both of them end up finishing the race in the end anyway, but that both ruined any of their chances at a good run. Here's another view of the Scholes accident. There's a big hit into the guardrail for Vinnie Scholes. Here's Michael Harvin exiting turn 7, and he gets the same wall that Laurie Jackson did. Heavy damage on the right side of the 55. You see the gray smoke of death pouring out of it. And he actually goes the entire way around the track in order to get back to the pit lane. So tough break there for Michael Harvin. Just, I said early in the race, turn 7's the trouble spot. You see a lot of cars get into it there, and a lot of the accidents were in that corner, so I can't say that wasn't unexpected, but just a tough break for Michael Harvin. He has not been having a good second half of this season. And Motor Racing Ventures as a whole has been struggling. And not the season that they were hoping to have after winning the championship last year and winning 3 of the last 5 races. As there you see one of their other cars, Rebecca Raymond, already involved in the previous accident, passing by him. And now the most crucial accident of the day. Cheryl Simmons, trying to go in for her second pit stop, just slides up a little bit too much, gets into the side of the 19. If she slows down a little bit here, she could probably save it, but she clips the end of the barrels, and that sends her spinning, and Tim Berry has to come to a stop, and it absolutely ruined Berry's race, on top of taking Cheryl Simmons out of it, and that was crucial in terms of the championship. Maybe Berry would not have lost as many points if that had happened. He would have had a shot of winning, possibly, as he was running up in the top 5. And obviously that's a bad break for Cheryl Simmons as well, but that was just, I think that was preventable there by Cheryl Simmons. First of all, sliding up over the yellow line, the yellow pit entry line, and then just not slowing down enough to avoid hitting the wall there, or steering enough. But just driver error there for Cheryl Simmons, and it ends up costing Tim Berry and Kobe Hollenbeck positions. Here you see Akira Tajima exiting the pits. He slides up into his teammate, Kobe Hollenbeck, and they both get into the guardrail there, but they keep it straight. They end up getting damaged, though, and that does kind of take some speed out of the car for both of them, so this is not the first time that we've seen Columbia Motorsports cars get into each other this season, but thankfully this one was minor in terms of the consequences. The 99 ended up on the losing end of it. He lost 2 or 3 positions. And here comes George Bryan into the bus stop, and we were focused on this pack of cars right here, and that ended up being what happened to George Bryan. He got turned by Cooper Spur here in the bus stop, leaning on each other there, and then he finally goes around, and he's not the only one either, as Jack Gino, trying to avoid the accident, ends up getting on the brakes too hard and spinning out himself. Don't think anybody else got involved. Neither of them. Oh, actually, no, never mind. There's a whole group of cars that slid off there. Darren Walker, the 43 of Kaleo Kani, the 99 of Tajima again, and also Johnny Everhart in the 52, all spun out in evasive maneuver. A couple of them got the wall over here trying to rejoin the track. That's where Darren Walker got his right side damage. And Tajima gets even more right side damage. And George Bryan was in a pretty good spot to potentially get a lot of points out of kind of strategizing his way up there, but unfortunately it kind of unraveled there on his outlap. And, we mentioned how the drivers were not going as fast on their outlaps, and that was part of the reason why it happened, but that was just kind of Cooper Spur getting a little too aggressive and impatient and getting into him. Here's a full speed replay. And you just see all these guys taking evasive maneuver, just overcooking it into the corner. None of them got any severe damage from it. Most of the damage came from trying to rejoin the track and just getting into the wall. But that kind of ruined George Bryan's strategy. I would have been interested to see how that would have worked out for him. And then it also made the days of some of these guys that weren't running very good even worse. So just not great for any of the drivers involved. Well, that is going to end today's race here at Watkins Glen International. Congratulations to Kevin Dupont and Walker Brothers Racing on their win. This is their second win of the season. And of course, this will be very crucial in the championship for them. And The next race is going to be at Darlington. Of course, if you're watching this in the playlist where everything's in order, if you're watching this when it comes up, uh, season 4 is going to be underway here soon. So, I'm just at least glad that everything's up now. But you guys can enjoy the last 4 races of the season. And this is Brennan Wilmington from the Left Turn Network signing out.